Alright, welcome to Little Home Projects. It's been about 5 weeks since I planted these seedlings behind me. You can see that the light is off on a bit of an angle. It's because the tomatoes are much taller than the other plants. Let's take a look. Today I'm going to be thinning them out, getting rid of the ones I don't want, and trying to rip a couple apart and put them in 2 different pots. Alright, so you can see that my light's on a bit of an angle now. That's because the tomatoes have gotten much too tall. The habaneros are doing really great. I have a feeling that the heating pad underneath, which I've left on this entire time, is really helping them grow. This is the best progress I've ever seen for my own personal pepper growth. The spicy chili peppers, pretty much the same. 2 of the 12 didn't germinate, but other than that, they're doing pretty well. And the tomatoes have shot right up. So they're touching the light, which is not a good thing, but not the end of the world. Some lights will be a little too hot for them and they'll start to get a little burnt or dried out. They're doing okay because it's only been like this for about a week, but I've got to figure this out so that the peppers can get some light as well as the tomatoes. This is my first time sort of pulling these out and looking at them. And I don't know if it means anything or not, but the shortest ones are on the far end here. I think they're still going to be just fine, but the top's a little bit more dry, and yeah, I think it's going to work. It's just that it's strange that it's the smallest there. I might rotate that to put it a little closer to the inside of the plant. A lot of these have 2 growing that turned out really well, so I'm going to try and separate a good amount of them. Here you can see one that only one kind of thing, and the leaves never came up off the thing, so that one's just going to get pinched off. Alright, so I'm going to split these guys up and then fit a few more things into the tray. Well, these are feeling a bit light. I'm guessing they're a little dry. So these guys are all doing pretty good. Again, the center ones are sort of the tallest, and the outside edge is slightly smaller, but I think they're all doing just fine. I'm really happy with that growth for pepper. I really think it was the heat trays that did it. These tomatoes, after 5 weeks, I think they're doing really well. I have to thin them out. They're getting top heavy and falling over, and there's too many in some of the pots, so thin them out, get rid of what I don't want. And then also I need to move around these basil plants because they're going to get shaded out by the tomatoes. These cucumbers, some of the leaves are starting to get a little yellow on the tips or a little white. That's probably because there's not enough nutrients in the soil, or there's not enough water even. Back here, oh, this is very dry. Okay, I'm going to water those right away. Alright, for these tomatoes, what I plan is to repot them. Not because they need to be repotted, because I want the square pot back. So, I've got these old round ones. I actually bought them, I think, as tomato pots way back. And what I'm going to do is, this is a good example of one tomato plant that's not doing anything. I could try and save this by breaking it off and replanting it, but I think I have enough tomato plants, so I'm not going to do that. Well, let's just practice. Let's see if I would take this out. So it's not terrible. Still doing in pretty good shape. A little dry right now. And this guy, I'm just going to break it off and throw it out. The new round pot, it will fit in just fine. I'm going to put in a little bit of fresh soil at the bottom. Just a ½ inch. And try and fill these gaps a tiny bit. New potting, I'll water that in a second. I finished moving a bunch of my tomatoes around, and what I've done is I've sort of torn them apart. I was maybe a little rough with them, but anything that had a bit of roots left on it, I transplanted. So some of these ones that didn't, like, you can see there's not really anything for roots there, nothing for roots there. This has got some roots on it still. I did try planting some of these, and I planted them all the way back up to here, because this is all going to sprout roots hopefully. So I get them. So those ones sort of look like these. These were the little scraggly ones on the sides that didn't really want to take off. So we'll see if they turn into something down the road. Okay, let's take a look at these habaneros. So anything with 1 growing in it, I'm just going to leave there. This one's got 2. Let's have a look. I'm just going to try and break it down the middle here. It came apart pretty easily, I gotta say, so that's a good sign. Alright, let's put a little bit of fresh dirt at the bottom. Just gonna shake that loose a tiny bit. Burying it a tiny bit deeper than what it was before. I don't know if that's right or wrong. Okay, we'll leave that there. That came apart way easier than the tomatoes came apart, so I think that's going to do reasonably well. Well, I'm going to continue this way for another half dozen plants. Okay, so this is a good example of one I'm not going to transplant. This one's nowhere near as good as the other. I've got lots of strong ones, so I'm just going to cut this one off and not pull on it. Just call that done. With all of them potted up, that's what it looks like. So I took my dozen and turned it into another 5 more. Let's get all this organized. I'm going to turn off the heat pads. I think they're probably even on there longer than they should be. So I'm going to leave them under there, but I'm going to turn them off. And everything will go back in and get watered. One last thing I should mention is I'm turning off this light for today. And I'm turning off the light because I don't want them to concentrate on growing. I want them to concentrate on their roots for a little bit. So at least 24 hours, maybe even longer. Just let the roots, adjust from being messed with. I'm going to wrap up the video right here. I've done very little work between this video and the last video. All I've mostly done is just adjust the lights and keep on watering them. And that's what I'm going to do until the next video. So if you want to see more then, please hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, please hit like. Thanks for checking out Little Home Projects.